Hello, it's Sarah, and I'm gonna attempt to teach you how to render with Blender. Someone on Instagram requests that I did this because they said that they really liked my renders, which I really appreciate because I'm extremely hard on myself and I always hate on my own renders, so it was nice to hear. I'm gonna just disclaimer that I am not the best at this. I'm still fairly new. I'd say like maybe a few months now I've been doing this, and I definitely have improved from the beginning, like anyone will if you keep up at something. But there's still a lot of stuff I don't know, so everything I'm teaching you, you might learn something new and better, but this is just the way I literally do it. Whether or not it's wrong, this is literally how mine come out the way they do. They don't come out perfect. Sometimes I have to edit them with GIMP I use. So there is other steps you can do, but I'm just going to show you guys the basics. I can't film myself going to The Sims 4 because for whatever reason the screen recorder I use crashes a lot if I'm doing really anything too overwhelming for it. But yeah, so this is not my first attempt recording this. But okay, let's get right into it. I'll explain what you have to do in The Sims, but most of us are familiar with how to use it, so I hope that it doesn't get too confusing without seeing what I'm doing. Okay, but the first step you would do is you would go into The Sims 4 and you would go to your Create a Sim. Obviously create the sim that you want to, put into Blender. After you're done creating them, I suggest you don't create every single outfit and you just keep it at the first one. That's the one you want to take a picture of, because the more details you put on each outfit, it will definitely take longer to rip in the Sims Ripper, the Sims 4 Ripper. So yeah, I would suggest not doing that. So yeah, after you get that first outfit on, that's gonna be good for the picture. You're going to just move into a lot like you would if you were playing. After you do that, you're going to save and exit. Okay, and this is where I will start showing you what you're doing. Okay, so you're going to download the Sims 4 Ripper. I will leave links in the description. I'm not going to show you how you do that because, to be honest, I barely know if I did it right my freaking self. This is all I did. I just downloaded the zip package and then exported it. And then what I do is I go inside the folder, I find this file, it's the application file, and yeah, it looks like that, and then I click it, and a bunch of this crap comes up, and I just keep hitting OK because it works. So there we go. Okay, so since that was the last save you did was your sim that you want to put into Blender, when you hit select here, if you have it on date modified, it will be the most recent file. It will show you the time and everything, and that is when I made the sim for this tutorial. So yeah, there are other ways to figure out what save file is what sim. I do not exactly know how, because this is just how I do it. I just go into the game, save and exit, and then I do the render right away. But some people might make multiple sims and just know the number that their sim is. I don't know. I have seen in some tutorials people do it that way. But I just wanted to show exactly how I did it. Which, again, probably doing everything wrong. So yeah, we're going to click that. It's going to load. You're going to want to make sure you remembered your sim's name. You can name them model names, just model 1 or 2, or just... I randomize names because I just don't really want to type. Usually when I'm doing this, I'll just hit the randomize button. If you forget your sim's name, that's unfortunate because it happens to me a lot, but luckily I have a Sims 4 tray importer, which makes it easier to just look up my sim's name, but this is not something you need for this tutorial. That's just for if you're trying to put your sim up for download and stuff, and it tells you what custom content is on them and stuff, but you don't need that for Blender for this process. But that is a good tip. Either that or you go back into the game. When I saved an exit, she was on her cold weather outfit, which is unfortunate because now I have to wait through another freaking loading screen. And then you just switch it over to everyday or whatever outfit you're trying to put into Blender. You're gonna want to make sure your settings look like mine, because that is how they need to be for the file to save right. Trust me, I had this wrong before the first time I filmed this tutorial, and it messed everything up in Blender, so you want to make sure the settings are like this. Okay, so she loaded. What we're gonna do now when they load in is you're gonna check for any like thing wrong with their outfits or anything, stuff that you don't want it to show up in Blender. You might have to change their outfit because sometimes some custom content just does not work for this. And yeah, it will look beautiful in game, but it will look horrible in Blender. It happens. I don't know if it's something I do wrong or if it's just the way it is. I have no idea. But in this case, technically it is glitched a little bit. Right here, we see this. That's not the cutest look. However, because this is a tutorial, I'm gonna ignore it. But yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You're looking for the little like flaws like that, I guess. So now what we're gonna do is save, but we're gonna save as DAE file. This process could go very slow sometimes. It can go like medium. It really depends on your computer, how much stuff you have up, stuff like that, or how much custom content is on your sim. But yeah, in documents I'm going to save just by her name. It's already saved because of the tutorial I did before, but we're just going to overwrite that right now. So yeah, save it as whatever you want. Okay, that is saved. You can exit out. So now we're going to open Blender. Okay, here we go. I have version 3.2. There are so many different versions of Blender, but some of them look nothing like this. This one, the way it is set up, makes the most sense to me. I've tried to learn things with other Blender programs, like to make meshes. I don't think this version works, so I'll be learning on other versions, and I just cannot do it because of the way it's set up. Like, the way something is set up really matters to me. How I like to set my thing up when I'm doing this. Is this little plus sign right here? That opens up a double window. This is definitely, in my opinion, the easiest way to go about it. You can kind of just see everything going on. But there might be other ways that people do it, because there's always a couple ways to do the same thing. Okay, so the first thing I did when I got in, I forgot to like say it, but I deleted that cube, because that usually just shows up when you load in. You don't need that cube, and so just delete it. Okay, so now we're blank canvas. So we're going to, what I like to do first is go over here and change this side to shader editor. And this side is just going to stay like this. This left side is going to change multiple times because you're going to do different things on this side. So we're going to go to File, Import. We're going to import the DAE file. This file is the new sim that I just made. That is her name. So yeah, that's the file from the sim at first. Okay. What I do to move, I'm not going to go over the controls a lot because I'm bad with them still too. So, but let me tell you, Blender gets a little confusing, but there are like control tutorials. To move back and forth like this, what I'm doing is holding in the middle scroll button on my mouse as I'm holding shift on my keyboard. It can go up, down, just like that. To zoom back and forth, I'm just using the scroll. To do like stuff like this, I am just holding in the scroll and just moving. If there's anything else that I start doing that you may be confused about, I'll try to explain it if I don't overlook it, hopefully. But yeah. Okay, so she is like gray right now, but that just has to do with these right over here. These are like just different shading things, viewpoint shading, I guess it's called. I like to keep it, while I'm doing this step, I like to keep it in the middle. This one is the like render. Like this is what how you change like the lighting and stuff. It will all show up when you're in this mode. But for this part, I do like to keep it in this version. or this setting, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're on rig, that's her. We're gonna click this arrow right here and we're gonna see her name twice. We're gonna click the first one that shows up. So after that, we're gonna go to this little circle looking thing, this red circle down here, material properties it's called. If it's not already empty for you, hit the X, and if it's already like this, then you're good to start. So you're gonna hit new, and then we're gonna go over here, and this is where we're going to add like the textures. So what we're gonna do is hit add, then image texture. We go to texture and then image texture. We're gonna add 2 of these. Okay, so we're gonna take the bottom one, it's gonna go color to specular, I don't know. And then this one, the top one, is color to base color. Okay, obviously you see she's changing in front of your eyes. If you were to keep it in this mode while you're doing it, you won't see any of the changing happening, which really doesn't matter. I just personally like to make sure I'm doing everything right. The next step I do, so that file you saved also came with these PNG files. And those are what you're going to be adding as the image texture. So the bottom image texture, we're going to hit open. We're going to go to wherever you saved that DAE file, it will be in the same spot. So the bottom one was specular, so we're going to get that file. So it's going to be named whatever you named it. In my case, it's Annabelle. And then specular. And you're going to put that there. So that's the bottom one. The top one, we're going to do open just the same way. Find it. We're going to find diffuse this time. Okay. So now she's looking a little more like herself, which is good. But we are not done yet with this step. Now we are going to add something again. This time we're going to shader and then mix shader. With this, we're going to put it in between this guy and this guy. And after we do that, we're moving this thing that is like on the middle shader, we're going to move it down to the bottom shader. Do not exactly know why, but this is what you have to do. Not exactly sure. Some things I kind of understand, like the image stuff I can understand, but all this other extra stuff I'm not really understanding. And then you do alpha to fac, whatever that means. But that's what you do. So this first step, oh, it's not done yet. No, I'm wrong. You gotta add one more thing. It's another shader, and it's transparent BSDF. Alright. But yeah, that's where you put that. So now that that's all hooked up, you are going to go to this part, the bottom name. This will not be here if you used only Maxis Match. This only happens, this only happens with alpha content because it's the glass file now. So you'll see. So you gotta make sure you exit out if there's already something there. Then you're gonna hit new. We're gonna do that all over again, same exact way. Image texture, image texture. This goes to base color. This goes to specular. The bottom, now this is the part that's a tad bit different. So instead of hitting just the regular specular, we're gonna do glass specular. And that will only save like that if it's not Maxis Match. So alpha is the only one that will save the glass files too. And then this top one, doing the same thing, but instead of just regular diffuse, it's gonna be glass diffuse. Okay. And then we are going to add the shader, mix shader in the middle. Put that one down to the bottom. Alpha to the fac. Then another shader, which is the transparent one. You put it up here. This guy goes to the middle. And there we go. For that, I also just want to pause for a second and say the way I'm moving this around, all I'm doing on this side right now is I'm holding in the scroll on my mouse. Okay, so the last step you have to do, because obviously the hair looks a little choppy still, is you need to go down to blend mode where it says opaque and it's alpha hash shed, if that's how you say it. And there we go. She's looking good. Okay, so now we're gonna want to pose them. We're gonna click pose. First on this side you want to change it to nonlinear animation. Right click, insert keyframe. We need location, rotation, and scale. Click this. I do not know why you click it, but after you click it, after this orange strip shows up, you gotta hit delete strips. Again, do not know why. But okay, after that, we need to add the pose in. So what we have to do, I already have poses saved, but so I can explain how you do it, I'll show you really quick. So minimize this. Actually, let me make sure I save it. Save that as tutorial. Okay. Just in case we don't want like anything to crash or anything. You should have saved like way earlier than I did, just in case, because you really don't want to have to like do all that over again. That's not fun. Okay, we're gonna need Sims 4 Studio for the pose part, so yeah, I'll make sure I link that below too. Okay, so you're gonna hit, there might be a different way to load this in. This is the way I do it. I just hit my projects and go to my Blender poses. I have a whole folder of them. What you would do if it's like your first time, you don't have any poses on your computer, just go to any site that has poses. Just make sure it's not create a sim pose, make sure it's in-game poses, and just download that file. And then after that, we will be doing this step, which is basically ripping the specific pose you want. So I'm just gonna click that. Okay, we're gonna go to clips. We're gonna pick which specific pose we want. I like this one. We're just gonna go with 5. And then export. And the reason I have this folder is because I want to rename everything so I actually understand what the hell some of the stuff is. Some of them I do have named right, and then some of them just like 1, 2, like it gets confusing. I just want to rename everything. For the sake of this, I'm just keeping it pose 5, but I do suggest if you were to save this pose, maybe say like hands behind back, standing pose. Like that way you have like an idea of what it is. But for the sake of this, it's just going to be pose 5. What the hell did it? Oh, I clicked that folder. That's why. I was like, why did it do that? What is happening? Oh my. Where's my pose folder? Blender poses. Okay. So we're just going to save that. Pose 5. Sometimes it takes a second to save. Okay. Now it's saved. We can just exit out of all this. And we're going to go back to Blender. We are going to go to File, Append. We're going to go to wherever we just saved that pose. And pose 5 is what we saved it as. And hit Append. And then Action. And then the file that's inside the Action folder. And after that, because obviously she did not pose yet, we are going to hit Add. And we are going to hit Add Action Strip. And that is the pose. And there we go. That is a cute pose. I like this one. Okay, perfect. So sometimes the poses don't work with the custom content they have on, so obviously you'll have to try other ones. In this case, this looks nice. And it worked. So good. Okay, so now we're going to set up to take a picture. Because I'm doing this tutorial to explain how I do things, this is not the only way to do things. There's a million things you can do and how you set this up and what lighting you use. But this is just the way I do it. For my Instagram, with all my like renders and stuff, I do some pictures with scenes, and then I always have one with just like a regular white background, kind of just to show out off the outfit and like the details of the sim more. So that I'll show you that part first. So what I would do for that is I go to 3D viewport, and this is how I set it up. I kind of drag it so you can see all of the options. I put it on the full render on this side. So the left side has the full render setting. then I always click so you can see the camera's viewpoint for that side. And then I kind of put that away for a minute. And then over here, I use the transform tool. I click camera. You gotta find where the camera is. In this case, it's up here. Now we gotta place it. Before you fully place it the way you want to, I suggest getting it to the size you want. To do that, click output properties. It kind of looks like a printer, I think. I put it like 2000 because it's not, I don't want to make it too high quality because it will just take forever to load. And also, obviously, depending on your computer, you gotta be careful, like, with how big you're making files. But I do not know the technicals of that. Down here, I like to set all of this to the highest, like 100% 16. It might vary computer to computer. Just be mindful of that. Okay, so now that I got it in like a square, because again, I use it for Instagram, so I want it to be, you know, to fit on it, you know? So we're gonna move it down. We're gonna find an angle we like. This could take, honestly, hours if you wanted to. Like, if you are a perfectionist and you want it to, but it also can be like 2 seconds. Like, really depends on how, you know. Okay, so obviously on the left side, this is what the render will come out like. So if I were to hit like render image right now, it would be this dark and everything, because I didn't do anything with the lighting, nothing. But the way this square is right here, that is what is going to render this part. Okay, so to zoom in and out, because I don't think I explained that, you want it to highlight white, the square, and just go back and forth. Okay, so I think I like that. So this is what I do to get a white background. There are, again, so many different ways you can do this part. You could add a mesh and you can put a plane, so you can just make like a plane under like their feet, but you can also move it as like a background. Let me actually show you. This is not what I do, but I'll just show you real fast what I mean. So this puts like a floor under them, because if not, the world is just kind of like floating. There's no scene right now. It's, you know what I mean? This creates objects like that she's actually standing on. What I would do sometimes with some of my renders is then I would add another plane. It's just going to add right over that one, but you can move it the same way you move the camera. This is confusing at first, these tools, but the more you get the hang of it, the easier it is. Just remember, these points are what move things. So this is forward and back, blue is up and down, this is like back and forth, like, you know what I mean? There's so many things you can do, but if you want, you could put this together, and this square right here, these little squares, but it won't work for that one because it's not a 3D object, it's just, but anyway, it's just a plane. But so if you were to hit this square, this, instead of this will move this up and down, but this will make it longer. You see what I'm saying? So if you want the wall to be higher, and yeah, this is basically how you build things essentially in Blender. But like, this is like the bare minimum of it. Like, there's so many crazy cool things you can do. So yeah, that's how you would build like a wall and stuff. I just, for what I do, I leave it just the regular world. Because right here, you see where it says world properties. If you click that, no matter what you were highlighted on, this will work, by the way, this setting, because some of them change, like some of these settings will change, depending what you click on. But in this case, the world stays always. And that is just the color of the world and how light it is. So look, pay attention to the left side. That will change like the lighting and stuff like that. However, say if we, I'm going to delete these because again, that was just an example. Say if we wanted to put her in a cube, we can also do that, which honestly can create some cool shadow effects and stuff. So again, the squares is what makes the box bigger. But if you want to just move the box out of the way, you would hit the arrows. So we want to make this tall, like almost like a house she's in right now. Her feet aren't lined up because the box isn't high enough. So I have the box selected. So you know what I mean? You would want to make it look like she's actually standing on a floor. Okay, so yeah, and then obviously the camera is not set, so the left side you can't see anything going on right now, but you would obviously move the camera in and then let's see. So yeah, now she's in a box. You could change the color of the box. To do that, you would have to go down here to this little red thing, material properties, and hit new, just kind of like how we did before. But then you'll see like something that says base color. That will change the color of the box. But yeah, in this case, I don't really use this method anymore. I used to all the time. I do not now. I literally just keep it on the world. So, like how it is, that is how I keep it. Because I don't, for this part, really need like anything too fancy. This light is somewhere over here. If you do not start off with like lights already over here, all you have to do to add like lights and cameras is go to add, like where we added the mesh, and then there's light and then there's cameras. But usually I think they're preloaded in. So this is one lighting, but if you want more lights, because obviously you can do really fancy things with lightings if you want to. So yeah, that's if you want a little extra lighting on her face. This like kind of the intensity, you can do different colors, like whatever you want to do. This part is totally up to you and your creative vision. I always do put a little lighting on usually, but I make it very soft. And then the background, because this world color does affect the lighting too. It doesn't just affect the color of the world. It does both. Okay, so I think I like it at that intensity. I think that's fine. I don't like it too bright. But yeah, that's what I would usually do for this part, the pictures you see with just the white background. That's the first step. So now I would save. Okay, and then after that, you would hit render, and then render image. I am not gonna fully show this part for two reasons. One, I do not want my screen recorder to crash, because if it crashes, all my footage is gone. And two, it takes forever to load anyway, but I will click it really fast, and then I'm gonna take a little break with recording, and I'll be right back when she's finished. So yeah, you're gonna hit render image. Alright, and it's gonna start. Oh no, I forgot a step. I forgot a step. Okay. What we're gonna do is one. Okay, that's already selected, so we did that. I don't like to do Eevee, and I'm still an Eevee. So if you don't want to render an Eevee, so that, it's not that I forgot a step. I forgot a step of what I use. That was rendered in Eevee, that's why it took so fast. But I like to render in cycles because I just like how it looks better. So this is cycles. You can see over here that it changed a little bit. So now, you would do the same thing. Render image. See how it's taking a little longer? There we go. And now you just gotta wait for it to load. And I will be back when it's loaded. Alright, so she has finished loading. So what you would do at this point is you would go to image and save as. We already adjusted these settings in Blender before this part, but you could also do it at the end. It's up to you. But I already put it all to like 100% and stuff. Alright, so I guess I'm just gonna save her as tutorial. This is the actual image file, so it's a PNG. Now, what you do with this picture after is up to you. You could edit it, leave it as is, it's whatever you want to do. I just want to shout out these earrings too. Like, tell me, and this one's like a little heart, you can't see it as much, but tell me they're not the cutest things. They're like little doll heads. I love it. Anyway, I forget who made that, but I love it. I gotta figure it out. If you want to know, ask in the comments and remind me to let you know, because it's cute. Okay, so, alright, she's done. I'm going to teach you how to put the sim in another Blender scene. I really like Medusa's Blender scenes a lot. There's a lot of good Blender scene creators, obviously. I kind of want to use, let's see, basketball courts. I really like this one. There's so much like atmosphere, you know? A lot going on, and it just really, it makes your pictures look really realistic when there's a lot of scenery, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna split the screen again because that's how I like to set up. So just with that little plus sign, you move it. Okay, so we're gonna hit File, Import, D8, or no, I lied, File, Append, and then we are going to, that file we saved, the Blender one, the one I saved as tutorial, not the PNG file. This is the blend file. We're gonna click that and hit Append, and then we're gonna hit Object. We're going to make sure the rig is selected and then hit Control on our keyboard and select the glass one and also just the regular one. So it would be the name of whatever you named it. In this case, Annabelle's her name. Okay, so we're gonna append. After we do that, she shows up. So I'm gonna go to this tool, the transform tool, the one that I showed you how to use before. We're gonna move her on to the actual Blender scene. You can move her wherever you want to, whatever you think looks cute. This part is a very creative, fun part to do, in my opinion, because this is the part where you're gonna really, I really suck at the controls, can you tell? This is the part you're gonna get really creative, though, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so I guess right there, we're gonna put her. Okay, in this case, I don't see a camera already here. Sometimes the blend scenes will already have a camera. Since there is not a camera, we're going to add one. So go to Add and Camera. It'll show up in a random spot. There we go. Yeah, you just gotta use the arrows. That's the easiest way, in my opinion, to do it. Okay. Alright, so now I'm gonna do camera view. And then I'm going to start moving it on this side to make it a little easier. I don't know why I didn't start that way, but I do that sometimes. Hello, people jogging. Get them. Love it. It's just cute. The whole scene, like, I can't imagine the amount of work this took. I do one day want to try making a Blender scene, but I don't know, man. It feels like something you need a lot of patience for. And I'm like, do I have that? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Alright, so now we're just gonna do cute stuff. I'm still gonna zoom in this case because the pants are still kind of glitched. And I really don't want that. But if you're doing this and you really don't want any kind of, you would just go in and change her pants into the game and redo all the steps because, yeah, so. Or you just ignore it. Like, at the end of the day, The Sims, you know, you need to have fun with it because why take something you love and, like, make it too serious, you know? Because, trust me, I've ruined things on myself doing that. So, I think there's cute, I guess. I'm going to, first of all, set this side to the full render circle. Remember, that's the last one over here. It's going to get a little laggy now. This is a really big scene, so definitely expect that. Okay, so now that, I guess it's already on cycles, so that's good. I don't even know, sometimes they don't work in one or the other. Like, it will usually tell you when you download the Blender scenes, it will tell you if it renders in Eevee or cycles, or it will say both. So now what we would do is we would hit render image and then save it just like we did before. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I suggest, you know, looking up a bunch of different tutorials about Blender because sometimes you'll learn one thing in one that you won't learn in another. I have been learning so many things by just a bunch of different tutorials, even if they're teaching the same thing. So don't just stick to this one and do the bare minimum, like, because I promise you I'm doing the bare minimum. There's so many amazing things you can do with this program, to the point where I don't understand how it's free at all. So I get a little confused about that, but it's so cool. I love it. Yeah. So if you have any questions, if you need help with anything, please let me know. I think you'd probably be able to reach me best on Instagram, which I'll leave my links below, because I feel like I'm probably on that the most. Or Tumblr. Definitely Tumblr, Instagram. But obviously if you want to just leave a comment in this video, I I will try my best to get onto this YouTube account, because this is not my main YouTube account that I use. Like, I don't have, like, YouTube Premium on this account, so obviously I don't really come onto it all the time. But, yeah, I do try to check my comments. I just haven't made a video in so long, because I used to make, like, actual, like, Sims 2 music videos and stuff. Now I'm just like, I'll just make a tutorial, why not? Post after years of not posting. Just, hey, I'm back. Not for the same reason, but what's up? But yeah, I had fun filming this. I hope you learned something today. And if you didn't, I understand. Please leave me some either constructive criticism or some hate comments. Let me know if you never want me to make a tutorial again, and I won't. Because it's not something I would normally do, but I don't know. I was just really honored by the question to asking for me to make a tutorial, because I was like, wow, it just made me feel good. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So that was nice. So thank you, and have a good night. Or day, whenever you're watching this. It's night for me.